Well, hello, and welcome to today's webinar, where our panelists are going to explore the top 10 takeaways from the 2024 Ignition Community Conference. My name is Dwayne Butcher. I'm Director of Marketing here at Flexware Innovation, and you can see on your screen our panelists who we'll introduce shortly. I'd like to thank those of you who have joined us live. Please know that you are able to interact with us during the presentation today. If you have questions, feel free to submit those using the GoToWebinar toolbar. I'd also like to thank those of you who are watching on demand. We are recording this session and we'll make it available within about 24 hours after our session ends here. So why are we here? Why are we doing this? Real quick, let me kind of frame this up. So at Flexware, we believe in community. We believe in community for networking purposes, learning, sharing. And if you're using Ignition, there is no better place to find those things than at ICC. To say that Flexware is all in with ICC would be an understatement. Brennan and I were just there a couple months ago, and we had a team of 12 people, all donning some baseball jerseys. We had two of those people who were on the agenda speaking about Ignition and ERP integration. And then finally, we were selected for Discover Gallery as a Discovery Gallery participant with our work that we did with Buildon. Just want to say one quick thing, and then we'll jump right into introductions. But if you are interested in seeing what we presented at the Discovery Gallery, feel free to send me an email, and I'm happy to send you links to. We've got a case study, and then we've also got a video that was done. So Dwayne.Butcher at flexware.com. Dwayne is spelled DWAYNE. So Dwayne.Butcher at flexware.com, and I'll shoot you links to that. So let me introduce our panel host for today. We've got a lot of folks up here, but one of them is going to try to wrangle this crew in and have a great conversation, and that's Brennan Jewett. Brennan is one of Flexware's Ignition team leads, and he brings a deep level of expertise in automation controls and development. His background includes a variety of industries and companies, and a couple of them that stuck out to me, Brennan, were Keurig and Tesla. Those were a couple of the fun companies that you've worked with in the past that were interesting. So with all that out of the way, Brennan, I'm going to just turn it over to you and let you take it away.
Thanks, Dwayne. Yeah, really looking forward to chatting with our esteemed panel here. Really excited to talk about what we did at ICC and our top 10 takeaways. So in no particular order here, we're going to start by introducing Benson Hoagland. Benson is the Vice President of Product Strategy and Marketing at Opto 22. With 30 years of experience at the company, he has played a significant role in shaping the product strategy for Opto 22's automation and control systems. Benson speaks at trade shows and conferences, including several ICCs. With over 1 million views, his 2014 TEDx talk, What is the Internet of Things, introduces non-technical audiences to the concepts of IoT. Welcome, Benson.
Thanks, Brennan. Happy to be here.
Yeah, glad you're here. Jeff Knepper is also joining us. He is the president of Flow Software. Jeff helps manufacturers scale information management and foster industry connections. With experience from Canary Labs, as co-founder of Integrate Live, he champions open, interoperable solutions and advocates against vendor lock-in and complex custom code to deliver adaptable, effective data solutions. Welcome, Jeff.
Man, Brennan, if I had known you were reading the bio, I would have put all kinds of alliteration, tongue twisters, and everything else in there.
Yeah,
Good
that would have killed me.
There you go.
And next in line here is Arlen Knepper. Arlen has been solving customer problems for 46 years. He is the co-inventor of MQTT. He is the co-founder, president, and CTO of Cirrus Link Solutions. He is also a proud grad of Oklahoma State University. He is also known to many as a wizard of IIoT. Welcome, Arlen.
Thanks.
And last but not least, of course, is James Brennan. He is the CEO of 4IR Solutions. He's been in industrial automation industry for more than 25 years and has spent a great deal of his career focused on OT networking, computing, and security. He also holds the prestigious position of fourth line winger in the Geezer Hockey League. Welcome, James.
I think we all took a little different approach to
Well, I saved the fun one for last, I guess. Okay, well, with no hesitation here, we'll slide into our first topic. This is the user and integrator knowledge sharing. So this one's kind of more on me than our panel, but I would also really like to hear their opinions on the matter. We at Flexware really love the table talks. So at the beginning of ICC, we're allowed to sign up beforehand to suggest options or opportunities to talk about industry challenges, struggles, positive opportunities, or technology that we care to discuss, kind of in a round table type environment. So yeah, Flexware really loves these because it gives us an opportunity to talk amongst different roles, developers, CEOs of companies, managers, end users, and anybody in between that is there to join us that's participating at ICC. Really gives you an opportunity to see different perspectives that people are presenting, and allows you to have kind of banter, technical conversations, sometimes be lectured, a little bit of all that good stuff that comes when you get a bunch of technical people sitting around a table. Did anyone have the opportunity to join a table talk?
So I might be unique on this panel in that I've actually been an integrator and a vendor at ICC, and having experienced it from the integrator perspective, I can certainly say that my experience was top notch in terms of interaction and information sharing between competitive organizations. So the community aspect of Ignition and being able to bounce ideas off of like-minded folks, some of the brightest lights from around the industry was unbelievably valuable, both from deep technical issues as well as, ideas for how to solve problems for customers. So I guess just my experience from that side of the fence was always very positive, and certainly seeing it from kind of the vendor side of things, I've observed lots and lots of great connections being made, and friendships that have blossomed from those kind of discussions.
Yeah, and I'd chime in that one of the cool things about the table talks is it speaks about this community. Let's be honest, a lot of the integrators that are sitting at tables are to some degree competitors. Yet their willingness to share information amongst each other to kind of raise all boats was really remarkable. A lot of camaraderie in those groups.
Yeah, I think that's what makes ICC unique across any other conference that you can go to. There's no way, Rockwell or anywhere else, you're going to have that kind of mix of interaction.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's very enjoyable, and it's something that we always look forward to. Another opportunity for knowledge sharing is the Discover Gallery. We really enjoy going through and looking at all the selected projects. It kind of gives us an opportunity to interact with the developers on a level that you may not be able to if you're watching a webinar like this, or if you see something posted to the Ignition Exchange. I had a good personal interaction to ask questions and kind of say, hey, is there an opportunity for us to kind of leverage some of this technology in what we do? Is there opportunities for us to get better, and also be able to hand that information back to the people that we were talking to? So it's a great opportunity to ask questions, learn from others, maybe get some best practices, learn some new techniques, and it's really enjoyable. I'm glad that IA does that.
It's
I've actually
it speaks.
seen product features from those conversations make it into the roadmap. It's just sorry, go ahead,
Yeah,
Jeff.
that's
Yeah, no, well, it speaks to the culture that IA has set for years, right? Because these things don't just happen at a conference. They happen because of things like the exchange. They happen because of cross collectives and things like the oil and gas collective. The first time I went to an oil and gas collective, it blew my mind that fierce competitors inside of the exact same verticals were giving each other tours of their rocks. They were hosting their competitors. They were talking about how they were using and leveraging Ignition. It's just that culture got set, I think, by IA early on.
Yeah, I mean, literally, you know, a lot of the Sparkplug features that we've got in Sparkplug right now came out of the oil and gas collective. And as an example, ABB went to one of the oil and gas collectives 4 years ago, and kind of it got the seed kind of planted. So ABB showed up in Stillwater last week and delivered me their new XIO flow computer PLC. It is native Sparkplug. So to get that kind of buy-in, that's really what you're looking for with this community.
a gorgeous little device. Yeah, I completely agree. IA really fosters an incredible community. And to elaborate a little bit more on community, something that they have presented the last couple of years is their community impact program. This year in particular, it was pretty interesting. Every time we see the projects that have been developed by the community for the literal community, it really kind of helps us understand what our skills can do to help our community, and what we can do with the platform that we work in every day to provide for ourselves, our family, our careers, can also be used to help communities in need. I think that's an incredible thing that they're doing, and it just shows to who IA really is.
Mhm.
Well, with that, I think we'll move on to the next topic of discussion, which is the Alliance Partners Accelerating Development and Deployment. So I believe everybody that's here is an Alliance Partner. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is also another incredible part of the Ignition community. This is something, once again, you don't see with other platforms, other providers. Ignition is an incredible platform to develop off from. They offer a lot of solutions, but there's so much that you can do with it that the alliance partners give us as integrators and end users something to jump off from. A leg up, a rapid development opportunity. And it's just an amazing way to allow all these other avenues of interest to come in and support the platform. So curious what your thoughts are, folks.
Well, it's been amazing. The picture you've got here, the first ICC that I did was 9 years ago when I demoed MQTT and nobody knew what that was. And in that hallway, there was Cirrus Link on one side and Kepware was on the other side, and that was it. Two vendors. And with what they've done to accelerate it to the standpoint that we'll get into that later, they literally have packed the community college with all of the vendors and alliance partners that they've got. So I think it's incredible the community and participation that they've got out of this whole program.
I think it shows to the strength of Ignition as more than it's difficult to describe because it's more than what anyone thinks it really is, and allows for so many different things to be connected together, from what you see on the call today with Epic devices and brokers and cloud injectors and data platforms. those are all wonderful use cases. But in that hallway, there was LoRaWAN radios, there was hardware providers, there was all sorts of different capabilities that blend together with Ignition at the center of it. And Ignition goes a long way, and Inductive goes a long way to trying to, help the users that are using it in all these unique and wonderful ways to be able to do that in the easiest way possible. That comes from both helping to enable the community and supporting the community, and also building a product that allows for that to happen. Because a lot of ecosystems, and Arlen's already picked on Rockwell once, so I'll do it again. A lot of ecosystems are closed off in that way, and it's very difficult to, unless you're already on the inside, it's very difficult to be interoperable with them, because they're trying to grab all their toys and take them to go play with. It's a very different sort of a way of approaching the problems that our customers ultimately face.
Benson, you were, I think, how many years now in a row has Opto been part of the Build-a-Thon? When you talk about like alliance to the solution.
Yeah, and predating that, our Build-a-Thon, experience has been, again, to this notion of partnership. It was Don Pearson who reached out to me, I don't know, 7-8 years ago and said, hey, we should be working together. And I wasn't very familiar with Ignition at the time. And then I ran into Arlen at a show, and what was that, Arlen, like 2017? And Arlen and I have known each other since 1999 or 2000. And he says, Benson, you got to check this out, and working with Inductive. And I was like, well, I've tried to work with other large companies before, from an Opto Edge perspective, and it's always been challenging. But the experience of working with Inductive, it was completely different and something I didn't expect. And as a result of that, we've been a partner and embedded their software on our hardware technology, which is helping customers all over the place in a myriad of different ways. So it's just speaking to this particular slide, and we're going to talk about the Build-a-Thon, I think, coming up. It's amazing how much of an impact it's had, not only Opto 22's business, but also the kind of customers that we can serve and the solutions that these customers are putting in that they couldn't have done before.
Thank you, guys. This is a great lead into the next slide, actually. The Build-a-Thon. Everybody loves the Build-a-Thon. This is really a highlight. It closes out ICC, of course, besides the keynote at the end, the closing statements. But the Build-a-Thon is amazing. It's so much fun. Opto 22 does a great job providing hardware. And this year it was really neat. We really loved seeing what the competitors were able to do. DMC and BIJC. BIJC came all the way over from, I think, the UK to participate. And it was really neat. From our perspective as an integrator, they did some cool things like really flexing Ignition Perspectives capabilities with CSS. Really leveraging MQTT. The automatic discovery of nodes, the edge-driven technology. That's basically everything that you want to be able to do if you have a large enterprise. And the scale up, the capabilities, the competition. It's everything. It's so much excitement.
Yeah, it's certainly, from our perspective, we're excited to participate and be, as Travis liked to say, the official sponsor of the Build-a-Thon. But that journey was kind of interesting. It started off with Travis and Kevin kind of dueling it out on stage, showing the features of Ignition. And even in that first one, they had an Epic up on the stage, but they weren't connected to it. And so, we got a chance to discuss and say, wouldn't it be cool if at the Build-a-Thon you were actually working with real data, real I/O, real control programs, and then build an application from that. And this year marks our third year that we did this. And I'll be honest, it is a labor of love. It's a lot of effort to build these units. And
oh, come on, Benson, you love getting into the shop and building these. Let's face it.
Well, there's a heck of a team here at Opto that puts all that together. I just try to herd the cats, as it were, but there's no question it's it's a challenge. It takes us about 6, 7, even 8 months to put something like this together. But what was cool about this year's Build-a-Thon, and you touched on it a little bit there, Brennan. But in the past, we'd have a control system, mimicking some sort of process. We did water tanks, we did Galton boards in previous years, but it was always about the ignition server connected to the PLC, which in this case, of course, is an Epic over OPC or whatever. So this year marked the first that I was so excited about, where we did utilize, again, as you described, MQTT and Sparkplug, so that these devices on stage were literally connected to a broker over a cellular modem. So there was no network on the stage, no hardwired network on the stage. It was all cellular. Published it up to the broker, and the contestants consumed those tags and built their applications. And they were able to write information back to the devices on the stage, again, over that cellular network and MQTT, to start the car wash, to turn on and off the lights, and then build these their perspective displays that would feature all this. But really the kicker, which I thought was really a lot of fun and kind of the twist, was each contestant had their own convenience store. But at the end, they rolled out a third convenience store. And part of their project was to be able to consume the tags from a new store and integrate it into the application, speaking to scale, speaking to auto discovery. And all of this was done over 100% secure connections. So that was really exciting for me.
It was really, really neat. And I think it's pretty cool to see the collaboration of the teams and the competitiveness. And what I'd really like to see, I'm just going to plant this little seed for IA, is maybe one of these times we can see how many different alliance partners we can integrate into the challenge. Just like a little check in the box for, yeah, I got 12 of them. Well, we did 15.
Right.
That might be a little bit of a unique challenge. But yeah, this is always a blast, and we love it, and we can't wait to see the next one, and maybe we'll have a chance to be back up on stage like we were in 2021. And with that, I think let's move on to the next step. So on this one, I'd like to touch on energy monitoring and options for ML, machine learning anomaly detection solutions. I think this is kind of a really big opportunity for our industry. Like there was a presentation that was done with Benson and Benson, remind me, Becca.
Yeah, Becca Gillespie.
Gillespie. And
Gillespie.
they talked about going into these manufacturers in Indiana and trying to educate the manufacturers on why it's important to collect your energy data, right? There's so much that you can glean off from that. It gives you a point, like a KPI, a place to start off from when you're trying to make improvements in your factory that are not only good for your bottom line, but they're also good for our environment, right? So that only leads into more options. And I think the way the kind of industry is moving is, how do we start integrating ML? How do we start using AI? And this is just one of many ways, but it's probably some low-hanging fruit that I think probably hasn't been adopted quite enough. And I think it's just an opportunity to really hammer on what we saw in Build-a-Thon, how you can do this, talk about that presentation. And then, this is also a great place for James and Jeff and the opportunities that they have as well, and the solutions that they provide. So kind of like to have everyone touch on this a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll lead off by saying, the genesis for the State of Indiana project was indeed Arlen. He called me and said, "Hey, listen, we're trying to get some energy data, and we want to publish it via MQTT." And at the time, AWS was involved, and so on. But fast forward, and what the idea behind this was is just as you described, this notion of energy savings, about equipment health, because as you know, if you start collecting this energy and power information from an asset, it's like putting a stethoscope on the machine. You can actually identify if there's any issues and so on. And then, of course, there's regulatory compliance. But the state of Indiana's approach here is not just about energy monitoring. It's about helping Indiana manufacturers start their journey to digitization, IIoT, digital transformation, call it what you will. And the idea is simple. All manufacturers have one thing in common. They use energy. They use electricity. And so if we start there using the tools that everybody uses for all kinds of different digital transformation projects, but for somebody who's just getting started, how do you help them? Well, you go after that common denominator. Let's start with energy, and then we can spread out from there. Now we can bring on a PLC or bring on another line, or whatever we want to do to again digitize our operations. So a huge shout out to the state of Indiana for putting together this type of program that literally funds Indiana manufacturers to start this journey with energy monitoring being on the forefront of it.
Thanks, Benson.
Well, I think, like Benson said, I was involved kind of in the first 2 years of that project. And what kind of astonished me is that, I think we're kind of in the forest for the trees thinking, oh, everybody, they are at a certain level of automation. We're going to have to come up and take them to the next level. When actually all these plant tours, there was nothing. There were PLCs sitting there with an HMI. And then the next cell, they had a PLC and HMI. In the next cell, they had a PLC and HMI. Were these networked together? Nope. Literally, there were clipboards going between each cell as they were doing this. And these were big manufacturers, but literally no automation. And we went in, did surveys, go, oh, we don't have any monitoring at all. And Benson and I would walk around and go, whoa, well, there's an electric meter right on your transformer. Are you talking to that? Well, no, we didn't. Oh, well, there's a backnet system talking to all your HVAC. Well, we're not talking to that. So they had all these little points of integration, but nobody was looking at it. To your point, Jeff, that's what I called backnet back then. It was a black hole.
Right.
They had Johnson Controls, they had Train, and they go, well, no, we're not talking to that. That's going to our backnet system. Oh, we're not talking to that. That's going to our backnet system. Well, who's talking to that? Nobody.
Nobody. Yeah.
I guess I wasn't involved in the Indiana project, but what we're seeing a lot from organizations is the desire for the outcome to be the same, right? Is how can I be able to get information from these disparate and discrete assets in a lot of cases that I could then use to make better decisions or to optimize or to apply either advanced ML or predictive maintenance or whatever the case may be. And that gap is something that a lot of folks don't know where to start. And I think that the
Yep.
tools and the ecosystem that we're all a part of, I think, have made that gap a lot less wide than it has been in previous times. And I think the difference in that now the information isn't being necessarily produced by a really smart engineer who's trying to make their plant better. It's being driven from the C-suite down, saying we need this as a competitive advantage in our industry. It changes the mentality, it changes the focus, and bluntly, it changes the funding model of it, so that there's more attention and more ability to get these things done that we're seeing. So yeah, I've been really excited about kind of the progress in the space. I think there's still a little bit of confusion for the end users, and I think that's where this ecosystem has done a tremendous job of helping to clarify things for folks.
This was maybe 7 or 8 years ago, but I can remember distinctly as representing Canary at the time, going to two different two different environments back-to-back weeks. I was at my absolute favorite potato chip in the country is made outside of Greencastle, Pennsylvania. And so I was knocking on doors and thought for sure this is going to be great, right? Going to put Historian in at this plant, and yeah, no network whatsoever, right? They would have had to go through $1 million plus upgrade just to start collecting data at that time anyway, based on what was available to them. I wish that the state of Pennsylvania had something similar to what Indiana's offering, because they'd have the toolkit. But then the very next week, I was in Florida at a very at a someone's panicking right now looking for their mute button. I was in Florida at Universal Studios. Had a sales opportunity there, and only to find out, guess what? None of those rides are networked. They're all islands. There's no data collection. There's no data analytics going on, and that brought to me a whole different idea of a thrill ride. Right, getting on that thing. Now they're doing manual processes to tighten every nut twice a day, but there's just no data collection. And to be able to make it easy for manufacturers to do the very fundamental basics, to go get this data, bring it into Ignition via a Groove Rio, and to then be able to, or I'm sorry, I think that's actually, is that the Rio or is that the Epic, Benson?
In both are used in these cases. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. And then obviously from now wearing my vendor hat, right, I want to be able to offer advanced analytics on that. I want to be able to tell you, no, like on your last 1,000 cases of product for this customer with these SKUs, this is exactly how much energy you used. And let's go grab the cost of that energy. And now you can make better decisions as a manufacturer. So it's exciting to see this working its way natively into the solution.
I don't know if you should have been surprised by Universal Studios, though. It's literally called Islands of Adventure down there.
Oh, well done.
No.
Well done. That's right. Well done.
Anyways, yes, thank you guys. I really appreciate the commentary on this. I think it's incredibly important to get those types of solutions in place and to foster that education and the ability to collect data. I always scratch my brain when I ask, hey, what are your KPIs and how are you collecting your data? And I don't know. So thank you all for your support.
Can I do a shameless? Can I do a shameless plug at this point, Brennan?
I think that's fair.
Okay, thanks. To the effort of collecting data, I just want to say we're still looking for beta testers for Timebase, timebase.com. If you'd like to download and run the world's first free operations-ready time series historian with a NoSQL backend, timebase.com. Go grab it.
Check it out. Thanks, Jeff. Let's move on to very exciting topics. This was the highlight for many people at ICC this year. It's things that we've been waiting for, asking for, begging for years, and it is coming to our doorstep very soon. Hopefully I'll find it under a tree here, the beta version at least. So the first thing I want to talk about is text-based configurations. I think this is really like the gateway, no pun intended, to success here. It enables version control, right? The deployment modes that they're offering, the gateway API, search functionality, like all these things that are just going to absolutely improve quality, maintainability, the ease of spinning up a new solution, the ease of learning for new people. I mean, you get somebody in there who doesn't know where to find their IP addresses, they can search the IP address, find what device it is. You can script your gateway configurations. It's just unbelievable. I mean, I think there's so much to talk about here. I have a list of things I could talk about, but I'd like to hear kind of your perspective. So, I think probably, if I had to guess, James is pretty darn excited about this stuff. So maybe you kick us off.
It's a very, very loaded thing to talk about because it's certainly very, very important for us, being that we deploy automated versions of Ignition using deployment pipelines, and we not just deploy them, but we also operate and manage them using those same pipelines. So the part of Ignition today that doesn't support text-based configuration is cumbersome to deal with, and it's not that it's impossible, but there's certainly a lot of workarounds and things that have to be done to deal with binary files versus plain text readable files. I think if you kind of go back to why is this happening, it's a unique property to the Inductive team in that they're looking forward to the trends industry where their users are taking their platform and how it's being used, and they're building the product roadmap appropriately and fast to meet those needs that they expect their customers are going to have. We're getting lots and lots of requests for Kubernetes and Docker-based installations on-prem and cloud, and these are things that most people still probably can't spell Kubernetes, but it's happening in a lot of places in a lot of different types of industries. So, this I mean, arguably is 8.3 just another cycle release in the 8 series? Should it be Ignition 9, Ignition 95, Ignition 98 SE? I don't know. But like ages myself there. But I think there's just a tremendous amount of flexibility and opportunity from all of these different things, and I don't know. We don't have enough time to go through them all, but I would just say that if you haven't looked into what is in 8.3 and what's been released so far, you should probably read up on it because it's pretty staggering.
Yeah, while you're more focused on cloud and enterprise wide environments, I'm focused on the edge. And same thing, there's this learning center that's blinking over my shoulder here. It's an Epic Learning Center, and they're spread all over the world. In fact, Arlen has one there over his shoulder as well. And my challenge has been all of these are connected through an MQTT broker, and we have an Ignition Cloud instance that's viewing all that data. But the challenge is every time I bring up a new learning center, I have to go in, just as you said, and thankfully I have remote connectivity very easily, but I have to go into the gateway and configure it. So the text-based configurations is going to be a game changer for me because I can now manage that centrally and deploy those appropriately so they have their own MQTT connections, they have their own UDT, they have everything they need all in an easy deployable manner, which is incredibly important when you are talking about edge configuration. So I'm super excited about text-based configurations.
Thank you.
Well,
Glad to
fortunately,
hear it.
fortunately, we had already exposed all of the MQTT modules. Everything was already Python scripted. So, all of the curve that Cirrus Link has to go through, because again, we have to rewrite everything basically with the new APIs and things like that. But already, pretty much all of our customers are using Python scripting to configure, engine, transmission, distributor, the injector modules. So it was really already on the horizon going forward. So luckily we were ready for it.
Yeah, we're very excited about text-based configurations. It's just deployment modes are going to be really helpful. Less work, less futzing around, as you might say, like when you're trying to go from development to deployment. I think the Gateway API is really big for us. I know that one of our engineers that has created his own rapid development toolkit is going to be very excited to get that in his hands because we're always trying to figure out how can we do things more efficiently, how can we be more effective, how can we get through the back end of Ignition to do things that we need to do with less time, and this is going to open the doors for us to be able to do that and be more efficient and more effective and create better solutions, higher quality, better maintainability. And I'm really excited for version control because it's going to allow us to be able to maintain the systems for our customers and come back and say, hey, we have this new feature, we're able to have this version control. Now we're going to be able to plug this in. Here's what it's going to take instead of having to do all this extra work or making sure that what you have works with what we have now. So it's really checking a lot of boxes, and I really look forward to getting our hands on it. And with that one, we can now move on to our next topic here. It kind of just lends itself very well to native ability for containerization. So to be honest, this one went slightly above my head. I went and looked at the Helm charts for Kubernetes and trying to understand kind of what this helps and what IA is doing, and it's pretty impressive that you're going to be able to deploy Ignition with a couple of lines of code. And I know James is probably pretty excited to chat about this. So once again, please start us off, James.
Yes, containerization, and I think I'll stick my neck out here. I'm pretty sure that Inductive Automation was the major SCADA vendor to produce, Docker containers for their customers use in production. I don't recall seeing any others out there that were. I think there's a few that since then have started to do so. And just Docker by itself gives you a lot of flexibility and capability, but when you get into an enterprise deployment where you're deploying hundreds or thousands of gateways, and you're doing so across a very complex landscape, using a technology like Kubernetes takes away a lot of the manual management. So, for example, things like if a gateway locks up, Kubernetes will detect that it locked up, and it will restart the gateway on a different host if it needs to, or just restart it where it is, depending on what the problem is. It'll notify you that something happened, but it auto heals, from common errors, which, oftentimes when that happens on a real server, you're going in and you're rebooting servers and hoping they come back up. So, those aren't really used out all kind of major enterprise. The fact that the Inductive team has taken the foresight to build out Helm charts, which help make those deployments a lot more straightforward, and that means that the deployments follow the intent of the designers of the software. So you're doing things the way that Inductive would like you to do them, as opposed to the other ways you could potentially try to do them. It just makes for those kind of deployments to be a lot more accessible for folks, especially IT folks that are getting involved in these kind of deployments. That's much more familiar for them, and it helps, that IT OT divide that exists. This helps to kind of close that up and make Ignition into a more enterprise friendly application, versus some of the other folks that might try to deploy in that way. So yeah, again, for very selfishly, it makes my life easier too. So I'm very happy with that. But I think that containerization in general, and just the support for these sorts of architectures, makes it easier to develop. It makes it easier to bench test. It makes it easier to just operate these things for everyone all the way through, from designers and hobbyists all the way up to the enterprise customers.
I completely agree. I think it's pretty impressive, and I think back to earlier in my career where we were trying to do edge nodes in refrigeration venues, and having to go out and manually configure your Ignition gateways after you had an edge node that spun up with a Docker container, and you're like, oh man, I have to go hit every one of these. If you could just put that in your scripting and have it done for you, and then it comes online through MQTT or something, like, really looking forward to that in the future.
Yep.
Does anyone have anything else they'd like to chat about on this one, or would we like to move on? Okay, we can move on. The next one I'm pretty excited about, we're pretty excited about here at Flexware, is event streams. This really shows IA's support for enterprise scale applications, right? When I started using Ignition, it was pretty much a SCADA for us and a way to get data from our equipment in and out of a database. And they have an amazing platform for developing your SCADA. We've gone beyond that now, where we can develop ERP systems, MES, anything that your business needs from that IT/OT convergence, getting that data from the plant floor up into the enterprise. And event streams is showing that that dedication to the enterprise. I think it's going to save a lot of time when it comes to newer MES integrations. I think connecting to systems like Kafka is amazing. And the opportunity to have that data available and be able to manipulate that data and do things with that event to be able to manipulate it into what you want it to do in the back end with like low code and not having to spend months integrating and developing is going to be mind-blowing for integrators and end users.
Well,
Have
I
you
agree. We already have, so we are already doing the adapters for MQTT engine, MQTT transmission to hook into the event stream that we need to. So we've already had customers, basically taking an MQTT message and then having to write Python code to convert it to Kafka or anything else they're going to. So I think, leveraging that with what we're already doing with MQTT was going to be huge.
I've been on both sides of a coin and as a vendor and doing demos for a customer. I've been on the side of the, oh my gosh, please don't ask me for the feature you're going to ask me for next because I know I don't support it and I know where this line of question is going to go and you just have that anxiety. And I've been on the other side of it now wearing my flow hat where it's like I can feel the next question coming. I know what they're going to ask and I know I've got 3 different ways to solve it, right? And I'm excited for that. I feel like after this ICC, that IA has seen every IT question coming from the enterprise approach of a solution, and they've got to, and they're just ready to just wow the IT teams that are trying to pre-qualify these solutions. It's just check, 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 one after another on what they're offering in 8.3.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say much other than I think this feature is something that, oftentimes enterprises need. Sometimes it gets put together in different ways by different solution providers. Sometimes they use external tools for it. Having it as a part of the platform, having it be native is a tremendous value driver. I perceive, and to your point, Jeff, I think it's just really forward-looking by the IA leadership team to spend as much time and energy building out this concept and including it in, and then for the community to work on the endpoints that are going to make sense. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, people are already doing it and they're doing it in so many different ways.
Right.
What this is going to do is help us standardize on the way that we're managing. MQTT, literally all of that is event based. And so just having something we can literally, instead of coding it, put it into event streams to standardize it. So, I don't have to look through somebody's Python code and that everybody writes better code than somebody else. So
Yep.
The engineer's curse. My code's better than everyone else's.
Right.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm not going to start with that. I can rewrite that better.
That's a tough line to walk there, I would say. All right. Well, yeah, I appreciate the feedback on this topic, folks. I think, closing out event streams, we're really looking forward to this, and I think it's going to make Ignition the even more powerful platform than it already is. In that adoption to the enterprise IT, it used to kind of be a conversation that you'd have, and it would be kind of a little bit of a struggle. And I think now it's becoming much more cohesive, and it's certainly shows because of IA support. And with that, we'll close out event streams and move on to the next. So the next topic is near and dear to my heart, and probably to Jeff's in a way. It's the power historian. So getting your data. I mean, historians are huge. I've worked with all kinds of different historians. I used to really love the opportunity to get in, collect data, look at data, do reporting on data, and IA has a historian, right? But they've known for a while that they're going to do something better, and this is it. It's built on the QuestDB backend. It's a massive improvement. It's a huge undertaking to be delivering this in the platform as they have. Something that we were talking about earlier is, there's no additional costs, right? This isn't going to be something that's another, $10,000 to slap onto your license. It's IA's commitment to saying, here is our platform, here's our software, here's our answer to your needs. And with this platform, it's going to kind of eliminate that need maybe to go externally outside of your platform. Of course, you still can, right? No, they're not
Absolutely.
locking you into it. It's just an option to answer a need that they recognize that this community has.
Yeah, and again, speaking from the edge perspective, we're very excited about this new historian. He gives, frankly, a lot more power and performance, because when you're running edge constrained devices, you've got only so much CPU, only so much memory and disk space. But to be able to implement a historian that's going to be a little, certainly different than what's in the edge platform now, is going to give us a lot more capability, or our customers a lot more capability in what they can store and how much they can store. So excited for that.
In the data API, I mean, being able to use an API to pull your data, I mean, that's a big thing. It's always fun when you're trying to script out historical values and format them in a way that's going to work. I think the API is going to, I'm really excited to get our hands on that.
Yeah, it's we assume that it's going to perform, right? I mean, IAs, they've taken their time to get this, and I believe they'll get it right. To not charge more for it is commendable. I mean, that just really does double down and shows that they are community first. The flexibility to be able to look, a historian can be pretty simple, right? For a site, it just has to be easy to configure. Operations needs to be able to own and manage it. It has to reliably store data and not lose data and handle the weird exceptions in manufacturing. But it has to be a good diagnostic tool for your engineers, your operators. And that's why it's actually so hard to solve this problem for most sites, because there's all kinds of databases that you could throw at a site, but to not have it easily integrate, to not have it to be easy to manage, and to not be able to have a good trending package is the killer. And so we're super excited to see what this looks like. Obviously, from the having to learn the new historian API, right, for our product or for other products to take advantage of it outside of Ignition. But we're super positive that it's going to solve a problem that has been really kind of one of those areas that you've had to try to figure out if you're a certain size of operation in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the performance is big. I really hope that it's going to perform, and I think it will. I mean, IA is known for a while that was kind of a what we have now is slightly lacking on that side when you get into massive enterprise scale solutions. And I'm actually living it right now with a script that I'm trying to work on and how quickly or how long it takes me to get some data out. So yeah, having a higher performance where you can pull massive amounts of data, being able to show that on your screens, have your operators interact with it, use their tools without lag, and we're really looking forward to getting our hands in and playing with this one. So yeah, I think that's probably a good opportunity to move on to our next topic, which is, honestly, I think this is really like the last little nugget that IA could produce to just round out their SCADA package. Everything they offer in SCADA is incredible. If I had my way, I wouldn't be using anything else for SCADA. So. Yeah, maybe that's why I'm a team lead on the Ignition team. But anyways, drawing tools, for a while, you either had to use what was available in the Symbol Factory, or if you wanted to get crafty, right, you could go out and use some kind of high price SVG editor or an open source SVG editor. So I think most of the people on our Ignition team at Flexware are very good with Inkscape. So, we could take something, we can build it out there, bring it in, make it work. But the thing is, it's kind of been a hurdle. It took me a while to build the confidence to be able to say, yeah, I'm going to go do this and try to figure out how it works. And, for people who are newer to Ignition or come from you know, a standard HMI SCADA kind of background where drawing tools are normally built in, right? Like this is a big hurdle. And you know, Flexware does Ignition training, and I think one of the questions we get all the time is like, where's the building drawing tools?
Right.
You're like, yeah, sorry. So then you're like, they're like, oh, well, what do we do? And now the answer is going to be there. I mean, they're going to have tools that you can build what you need. You're going to be able to take things from the symbol factory and manipulate them to do the things that you need them to do, or make them look like you need to make them look. And then native bindings for those elements. I mean, that's
Right.
pretty cool. If you can just say, hey, oh, here's the element, and I can bind it to this event to make the colors change, or to make it, you know, ISA 101 compliant, whatnot, and not have to go in through an SVG that you made and go, oh, this little bit of the element, this little bit of, I think, let me toggle this one. Is this one working? Oh yeah, okay, that's it. I mean, it's
Right.
going to make our development so much quicker too. And I think it's going to really eliminate that hurdle for people to jump over when they're starting to get into the product.
Yeah, the notion that this is so well integrated is really the key factor here. You know, if you're using Inkscape or Illustrator or some other outside editor, then you're bringing it into web tools. You're trying to identify the element that you want to, you know, bind to a tag. It's a lot of heavy lifting. It's very easy to get confused and not get it right. So with this, you know, new integration right within the environment makes that so much simpler. And yeah, it's not going to help you draw better things. I mean, certainly the tools are there. It's still up to the artist to depict what it is they want to put on the screen. But to have all those other back end tools and have it so well integrated, I think is going to be a game changer. I did get a chance to preview these drawing tools, and I'm an Illustrator guy anyway, so I know a little bit about developing scalable graphics. And what they've done here is pretty remarkable. And I don't have it on full authority, but what I understood was they did really kind of look at Inkscape and how it works, because one of the most popular open source editors out there for SVGs, and tried to say, well, what are they doing there and why is it so popular? Let's put it into Ignition. So kudos to those guys.
Yep, completely agree, and I'm really excited to get our hands on it and start using it. Just get around
My only comment is that I still use Vision. I'm glad it will help everybody else build really pretty screens.
Right.
And,
yeah, you and Phil Termel both. He's starting to
There
use
you go.
perspective now, though. So,
Hey.
all right, guys. Well, we're on to our last topic here. So, you know, the Harris Center has been an amazing venue for ICC. They do such a good job of taking care of us, of taking care of IA in the community. I've met a lot of cool people there. We've had a lot of good times, great memories. But clearly you can see in this photo here and in the one we shared earlier that, you know, it's packed. We're shoulder to shoulder. You're standing in a line trying to get into a presentation or to try to talk to any of these folks here with me today. And you know, I think it was time. It felt like it was time last year, and I'm glad that I think everyone's glad that IA is making a move to Sacramento. Yeah. It's
I mean, we're not. I don't know that
everyone.
we're happy. I don't know that we're happy to be in Sacramento and not Folsom, right?
That's fair.
Right.
The dream would have been Folsom would have built a convention center this size, but
There you
they
go.
didn't, and so Sacramento is the best choice.
And also, you know, IA always has a little pitch for sustainability. Like this year, they did the reusable water bottles instead of the ones that look like Coors Light. And I mean, being able to travel to Sacramento and not have to rent a bunch of cars and all that stuff to get up there to Folsom I think it's going to be reduce the footprint a little bit. It'll be nice. And then, yeah, I think some other things that we wanted to talk about, like that they did great this year, was like, I thought that the event app was pretty amazing, and I heard that from a lot of other people.
Yeah.
They did such a good job with that. The ability to you know, listen in on presentations when you couldn't be there, or to watch them afterwards was phenomenal. And then the badge integration, we were able to go and connect with somebody. Maybe if you're even in passing, or, oh shoot, I can't remember that person's name, you could get a CSV export later on to say, oh, these are all the people I talked to. Yeah, all right, now I've got my new connections. Let me go hit them on LinkedIn. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing what they're going to do with that next year.
Absolutely.
I see Dwayne's joining us, so my guess is that we're out of time.
Good guess, Brennan.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Well, let me just first thank the panel and Brennan for you facilitating the panel. Thanks not only for sharing your insights here, but really for being such an important part of the Ignition community. Very well respected and appreciate all of your contributions. At the beginning of our time today, I mentioned that if you would like to see the case studies from Flexware's Discover Gallery submission, just send me an email. You'll get an email from me following this, so you just reply to that, and I'd be happy to send you those links. So for now, because we're out of time, we also did get a few questions come in, so I'll have the facilitators address those appropriately, and we'll get those out in an email. So sorry we didn't have time to address questions. So again, thanks Brennan, Arlen, Benson, Jeff, and James. And thanks for everyone who tuned in. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks
for having
everybody.
us.